Alright guys, in this video, I'm going to show you some of the most crucial settings and features that you should absolutely tweak and enable on your brand new Galaxy Z Fold 7 to make it super functional and awesome. Also, before we start, I am assuming that you have completed the basic setup like connecting to Wi-Fi, signing in into your Google and Samsung accounts, all that basic stuff that you gotta do when you first switch your phone on. Also, during the initial setup, I've changed the screen mode from light to dark, which changes the theme of the phone from white to black, which is easier on the eyes, especially at night. And once you are done with the initial setup, you should see this as your home screen. So let's take it from here. Now this is a personal choice, but one of the things that drives me absolutely crazy is the way you open the quick panel. You see, the thing is, if you're using the phone with one hand, then you have to swipe down and then swipe to the left to open the quick panel. This kind of feels unnatural because previously you could just swipe down twice to open the quick panel. Did you notice how swiping down feels more natural? Thankfully, we can revert this back to the way it used to be. All you have to do is open the quick panel and then swipe to the left and tap on the pencil icon and then tap on panel settings. And here, change this setting from separate to together, and that's it. Now swiping down is gonna open your notifications and the quick panel together. And same deal on the lock screen, swiping down is gonna open your notifications and the quick panel together. Super convenient, right? Another change that I highly recommend that you do is reposition the brightness slider along with the quick settings. You can do this by tapping on the pencil icon and then repositioning the quick settings and the brightness slider anywhere you want. You want to do this according to what's best for you, but I prefer having the brightness slider at the bottom of the screen so that it's easier to change the brightness when I'm using the phone with one hand. And same goes for the quick settings. Bringing the quick settings panel down is going to make it easier to use the phone with one hand. And all of the changes that we have just made are also going to reflect on the main screen. So we can swipe down twice to open the quick panel, and you can see that the changes that we have just made are right here. So the thing is, you can make all of these changes on the main as well as on the cover screen. The choice is yours. For now, I'm gonna continue on with the main screen because it gives a nice overview of the main setting as well as the sub menu. Now since we are already in the settings, let's head on into the device care menu and make a few changes. Here it is. So once you open the device care menu, tap on performance profile and change this to light. And this is gonna do two things. First, it's gonna make your battery last longer and it's gonna make the phone run cool because the light mode prioritizes the battery life and cooling efficiency over processing speed. And no, you're not gonna notice any difference in the performance in day-to-day use because the Snapdragon 8 Elite powering the Z Fold 7 is crazy fast even in the light performance mode. But you will notice a substantial increase when it comes to the battery life. And speaking of battery, if you want to prolong the overall lifespan of your Z Fold 7's battery, then you want to tap on battery in device care, then head on into battery protection and switch this feature on. You see, the thing is, keeping your battery full at 100% charge for a long time can reduce its lifespan. So my recommendation is setting this to maximum and adjusting the charge level to 85 or 90%. Ideally, you want to cap the charge level to 80%, but sometimes 80% is not enough for the entire day. So you want to keep this at 85 or 90%. I'm going to set mine to 85% because I think that's the sweet spot. Alright, so let's go back to the device care menu and here tap on auto optimization and then auto restart and enable restart when needed. Now your phone will automatically restart whenever it detects that it's having performance issues. You can also tell the phone when it should restart. I prefer the phone to automatically restart every Monday 3 AM so that it's nice and fresh, ready for the week. Now, before we proceed any further, what you want to do is add a couple of useful toggle switches to the quick settings in the quick panel for the changes that we have made. So in the quick panel, tap on the pencil icon and then edit. Now from the available buttons, you want to add the performance profile, battery protection, wireless power share, and the toggle for the always on display. And these buttons will easily let you switch the settings on and off without actually going into the main settings of the phone. Extremely useful, right? So you might have noticed that the phone locks itself when you change over from the main to the cover screen even if you're using an app. And upon unlocking the phone, you'll see that the app is no longer there. You can change how this works by going into the settings, then display, and here you want to look for continue apps on cover screen. Now inside you get two options. If you select always, the phone will automatically switch over the app from the main to the cover screen whenever you close your phone. But the second option, which is swipe up to continue app, gives you an option to switch the app that you were already using on the main screen by swiping up on the cover screen. So just like that. If you don't swipe up, the phone will automatically lock itself after a couple of seconds. I'm gonna suggest keeping this on swipe up to continue app because this gives you an option of swiping up in case you wanna use the app or let the phone lock itself. You also might have noticed that when you play certain videos, the phone kinda turns up the brightness all the way, which is really annoying, especially if you're watching videos at night because the change in the brightness just hits you in the eyes. Thankfully, this is something that we can switch off by going into the settings, scroll down to advanced features, and inside switch off super HDR. And now whenever you play a video, the phone is gonna keep the brightness at the level that you have set. Trust me, keep this feature off and your eyes are gonna say thank you. Also, the way you seek through videos on a Samsung smartphone is kind of annoying. The thing is, when you open a video, you might have noticed that there is no video seek bar. You kinda have to tap on the film strip to expand and then only you'll be able to move forwards or backward in a video. Look, it's fine for shorter videos, but for a longer one, this method gets annoying. Fortunately for us, we can tweak a setting in the gallery and bring back the good old video seek bar. Let me show you how. Alright, so when you are in the gallery, tap on the menu button and head on into the settings. Inside, scroll down and tap on About Gallery. Now, when you're inside, repeatedly tap on Version until you see a message, Gallery Labs is enabled. Once you see this, go back, scroll down and tap on Gallery Labs. Inside, scroll down to One UI 3.x and change the video player mode from default to Legacy Video Seek Bar and then quit the gallery. So now when you relaunch the gallery and open a video, it's gonna show a dedicated video seek bar. In my opinion, it's easier to seek through a video through this than the film strip. Now let's go back into the Gallery Labs and here you can enable another feature called Timeline in Album. So once you enable this, whenever you open an album, so let's open the wallpaper album, you'll notice that all your photos and videos are now grouped by date. So this is a side-by-side comparison and I think grouping by date is a good idea. I also really like how all of the photos and videos scroll in full screen on this phone. Look how amazing the gallery looks. So if you want your gallery to look like this while you are scrolling, head on into the gallery settings by tapping on the menu button and then settings. And inside, enable full screen scrolling. So after enabling this, you will be able to scroll in full screen through your gallery. It just makes the gallery look super cool. Oh, and one more thing that I've noticed is that by default, the gallery does not show you every album that's on your phone. You'll have to tap on View All to see all your albums. And this can get very confusing at times. However, you can tap on these three dots and then tap on Select Essential Albums and check the boxes of the albums that you want to see when you are in the Album tab of your gallery. Now, if you don't like this feature and if it confuses you, you can switch it off by going into the gallery settings, scroll down and switch off Select Essential Albums. Now the gallery is going to show you all the folders or albums that are on your phone. However, you still have the option to hide individual albums by going into this menu. So it's kind of pointless to have two similar features, so why not switch one of these off to avoid confusion. Now, I've seen many people using the Samsung keyboard in its stock configuration without enabling all the awesome features that it comes with. For example, the gesture input is switched off by default. And gesture input is really cool. It allows you to type by swiping over the words and quickly type out your messages. So to enable this, tap on the settings button in the keyboard toolbar. Once you're in the settings, scroll down and tap on swipe, touch and feedback. Inside, tap on keyboard swipe controls and set this to swipe to type. Now you'll be able to type messages by swiping your finger over the words. It takes a bit of practice, but once you get a hang of this, you'll be able to type out long messages fairly quickly. Awesome, right? So let's make a few more useful changes to the keyboard. So once again, we are gonna head back into the keyboard settings. And this time, we're gonna tap on layout. And here we are going to switch off the number keys and then enable the alternate characters. And you'll notice that this is gonna make the keyboard a little compact, and it also adds the number keys to the top word row of the keyboard. And you also get some additional characters. So while typing, you can long press to add the additional character or numbers to whatever you are typing. Just makes the keyboard a bit more functional and compact. And lastly, I'm also gonna make the keyboard a bit more compact because I prefer having a smaller keyboard. So there you go, the keyboard is now way more functional and it looks better than it did before. One thing that I've noticed is that the screen keeps coming on whenever I've got the phone in my hand. This is annoying because it happens frequently and I don't even have my finger on the power button. Thankfully, this is something that we can fix by switching off two settings. So head on into the settings and then scroll down to advanced features. Inside advanced features, tap on motion and gestures. And inside, switch off double tap to turn on screen and lift to wake. And that's it. Now the phone is not gonna wake up by itself whenever you've got it in your hands or in the pocket of your pants. So next, you want to go back into the advanced features and then tap on side button. Then change the long press from digital assistant to the power off menu. Now your phone is going to show you the power off menu when you press and hold the power button on your phone. And again, this is a personal choice. If you use the Google Assistant, then you might want to leave this set to the digital assistant, or else the power off menu is the best option. Also, the other day someone asked, how do you disable the apps that show up in recents? So when you are in this menu, tap on these three dots and then settings. From here, turn off show recommended apps, and now you won't see those apps in the recent menu. Alright, so when you've got an app open on the main screen, you might have noticed the taskbar at the bottom, and this lets you switch between the apps. Like from WhatsApp, we can quickly switch over to the gallery or to the camera. There is one more thing that you can do, and that is you can long press on an app icon and drag it to specific areas of the screen to make it run in the pop-up or in the split view mode. And this is such a powerful way to multitask on your Z Fold. However, occasionally you might come across apps that don't work in the split or the pop-up view. They will always launch in full screen. This is because the app is not optimized for the Z Fold. But thankfully, we can fix this issue by going into the settings, then into the advanced features, and here you want to tap on labs and enable the multi-window for all apps. And this is gonna make the apps that aren't compatible with the Fold work in the pop-up or in the split view mode. As you can see, this app was not working in the split view mode before, but now it is. So you must absolutely enable this feature on your Z Fold. Now, when you change the wallpaper for the very first time, what I want you guys to do is pinch in on the home screen and then go to wallpaper and style. Tap on color palette and enable this feature. And what this feature does is that it picks out the colors that are in the wallpaper and uses them as the theme of your phone. So look at the preview and pick the color palette that you like. Once you are done, you will notice that the theme of your phone will match the colors of your wallpaper. Now on the Fold, you'll have to change the wallpaper separately for the main screen, because on the Fold 7 you can have separate wallpapers for the main and the cover screen. However, the color palette remains the same. Alright, so moving on, I also feel that the default clock is kinda boring. So let's change this and make the lock screen look awesome. So what you wanna do is keep your finger on an empty area on the lock screen and then unlock your phone. And you'll be presented with a live preview of the lock screen. Now here you can tap on the clock and pick something that suits your personality. Let's pick this watch face and increase the size. And if you want to see the weather alongside the clock, then enable this. And lastly, you can also change the color of the clock if you wish to. So check that out, looks awesome, right? And you've got a ton of customizability to the point where you can even add widgets to the lock screen itself. I would recommend adding the pedometer, which is inside Samsung Health. It's gonna show you how many steps you've taken, and a couple of weather widgets. Since we already have temperature in the clock, I'm gonna add precipitation and the AQI widget to the lock screen. And there you go, the lock screen is way more functional than it was before. And as usual, the changes that you're gonna make to the lock screen on the cover screen are also gonna show up on the lock screen on the main screen. Well, except for the clock. This is something that you will have to separately customize for the main screen. This is actually a good thing because this will allow you to have different clock styles for the main and the cover screen. I've also noticed that Samsung phones don't really show notifications on the lock screen. You kinda have to swipe down to see them. Now, if you wanna save the extra step of swiping, you can change the way the phone shows notifications on the lock screen by going into the settings, tap on notifications, and inside head on into lock screen, and here change this from icons to cards. And now the phone will show you all your notifications right here on the lock screen, absolutely no need to swipe down. However, this is a personal choice. If you prefer a clean lock screen, set this to icons, or else cards is the best option if you want to see your notifications right here on the lock screen. Now, you might have noticed that even though we have set this to cards, the actual contents of the notifications are still hidden. So if you want to see the contents of the notifications, you want to go back to notifications and here tap on hide content while locked and set this to show always. Then go back and tap on app notifications, and from here configure the individual apps that you want to see the notifications while the phone is locked. So we can head on into WhatsApp and configure this to actually show the message content on the lock screen. Super useful if you want to quickly glance at your messages right here from the lock screen. So this is a powerful privacy feature, so make sure that you use this according to what's best for you. Almost every Samsung Galaxy has a feature which lights up the edges of the screen whenever the phone gets a new notification, and this makes the phone look awesome, especially at night. But this feature is switched off by default, so let me show you how to switch it on and configure this properly. Alright, so drop down the quick panel and head on into the settings. Scroll down and tap on notifications and then notification pop-up style. Inside, make sure that this is set to brief and then head on into add lighting effect. And from here, choose the edge lighting effect that you want to see. My personal favorite is the glitter effect because this looks phenomenal. Once you select the effect, go to advanced and change the width from narrow to wide and duration from short to long. This makes the glitter effect a little bit thick and makes it last a little bit longer. And finally, make sure that this setting is switched on if you want to see the effect while the screen is off. It's really strange, but the Z Fold 7 does not come with a dedicated MP3 or a music player. So let's fix that by downloading Samsung Music from the Play Store. You know, this used to come pre-installed on Samsung phones, but for some reason Samsung decided not to include it on their newer smartphones. But yeah, this is a nice music player if you are not into streaming music from Spotify or Amazon Music. So next, I highly recommend that you enable swipe gestures and get rid of the navigation bar that appears at the bottom of the screen. You can do this by going into the settings, display, scroll down and tap on navigation bar, and here change this from button to swipe gestures. And doing this turns the edges of the screen into the back key, which makes it very easy to use the phone with one hand. So now swipe in from the edges of the screen to go back. Swiping up from the middle takes us to our home screen, and if you swipe up from the middle and hold, that's gonna open up recents. And doing this gesture will let you go back and forth between your recent apps. But the main advantage of the swipe gestures is on the main screen because now you will be able to use your Fold 7 with your left hand. This is because with the swipe gestures you can navigate using the edges and the bottom of your screen. So this gives you an option of holding the phone with either your left or your right hand. And just for reference, if you're using the navigation buttons, you will not be able to use the Fold 7 with your left hand because your fingers are not gonna reach the navigation buttons, but you can with the swipe gestures. Also, swiping up from the middle of the screen is gonna open up the taskbar. So it's a really good idea to switch over to the swipe gestures. Now, if you want to get rid of this white bar that appears at the bottom of the screen, then what you want to do is open the Galaxy Store on your phone and search for an app called GoodLock. Once you find it, download and install it. Then open GoodLock and inside download the Navstar module. Once you download, open, then tap on swipe gestures and enable the extra gesture settings. Now we're gonna go to the phone settings, then display, and scroll down to navigation bar. Here let's tap on more options and we will switch off the gesture hint. And doing this will hide the navigation gesture hint at the bottom of the screen, giving you a cleaner look. And lastly, if you want to hide the bar that appears at the bottom of the keyboard, then you want to head on into the settings and search for keyboard button on navigation bar. Tap on it and switch off keyboard button on navigation bar along with show button to hide keyboard. And as you can see, this will hide the bar that appears at the bottom of the keyboard, making the keyboard fit at the bottom of the screen. But keep in mind, this also takes away the voice to text input button. So if you're someone who frequently uses voice to text, well, then you want to keep these two settings on. Now, since we already have GoodLock installed, let me show you a couple of tweaks that you are absolutely going to love. Right, so did you notice that I've got the time along with the date right here in the status bar? And this is actually more useful than you think it is. Sometimes it can come in very handy. So if you want the date along with the month in the status bar, you'll have to download and open the Quick Start module in GoodLock. Inside, tap on clock settings and enable the show date option. This is going to add the date along with the time in the status bar, and you're going to see the same thing on the main screen. Now, if you feel that this is getting a bit too crowded, you can tap here and change the format of the date. So you can put something that occupies less space. And again, this is a personal choice, so pick the format that you are comfortable with. So next, you want to download the Home Up module, switch it on, and then head on into home screen. And inside, you want to scroll down and enable the pop-up folder option. So what happens is when you open a folder on your home screen, it kinda takes over the entire screen of the phone. But when you enable this option and then open the folder, you'll see that it opens in a pop-up and it doesn't take over the entire screen. And I think this is a far better option. The next module you should download is Nice Shot. Once you do, open it and enable the Add Delete button option. So now when you take a screenshot, you'll notice a dedicated delete button in the screenshot panel. Very useful. Alright, so we're gonna end the video here because it's already like 22 plus minutes long. Stay tuned for the next video because in the next video, we are gonna customize the home screen and make it look awesome. Alright, so thank you for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Tech Guy Charlie signing off.